Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. My name is Scott Morganroth, the Motor City Madmouth. I'm on the back end of a doubleheader, and the guy I'm on the back end of a doubleheader is with Jacob Krister, the pundit's pundit. And before we go to everybody else, Jacob, why don't you and I talk a little bit about what just happened in the last hour? If you were looking for the Fourth of July fireworks, you would have got them on 9/21/22 with some of the stuff that we threw out there.
Well, something that's the thing about pundit. What I've wanted from the get go is let's get real conversation from different point of views, from different philosophies, from different everything. And it's like, because one of the things that you can get that you get from an ESPN or any of the other news sources or any other pundits is the fact that it's everything is entertainment. And it's like we are bringing it back to the times when news was a loss leader, and we are going to give information, we're going to give opinion, and we're going to talk. And we had fun on that. We had a great time on this one, and we're going to keep it going.
Absolutely. All right. With that said, let me introduce the rest of the crew. Rick Curdy. By the way, before I go any further with you, good job last night, 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. Let me give you a little bit of information about last night's show. Yesterday, I started the day out in Homestead, Florida, because I'm doing some work at least this week to try to promote the NASCAR event down in Homestead, Florida. So I got some pretty good sound down there, as well as had an opportunity to talk to the president of the Homestead Speedway, Al Garcia. I'm working on, haven't finalized yet, trying to get him on at one of our shows, but that's something I'm working on. I'll be down there on Friday. Good opportunity there. And then I took it over to the Marlins game, and they took on the Chicago Cubs, at which time I was able to make Cubfidential later on at night. And that was a pretty good old time, but not before I had an opportunity to talk to Don Mattingly and Joe Girardi yesterday before yesterday's game. So I do want to give a special thanks to Rick, Eric Katz, and Candy Ebling did an outstanding job taking my place last night on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. I happened to have the opportunity to watch the show, and I thought they did a really, really good job. And it gives me the peace of mind that I need, that if I have to go in the field and do things, that I have a capable supporting cast to go out there and do what they got to do. So once again, Rick, Eric Katz, Candy Ebling, job well done. With that said, we go to the final member of our crew tonight. And our weekly member, as always, is JB Ellis. Good evening, sir.
How's everybody doing tonight?
Oh, we're doing really good, man. How about speak for you guys? You speak, you got voices, even though mine's going down anyways.
It's been a long week, but good stuff going on.
Yeah, a lot. And I'm very proud to be working with Sideline Sports, some of the classiest people on the planet. They all are. I know you, Eric Wilson, Jake Malik, and John Shearer do good stuff. Jacob Kristner, Denzel Snipes. I better not be forgetting anybody. Will Vogel, Dom DeRube, Jennifer. The list goes on. And I will do the best I can. If I miss anybody, JB, if you don't bail me out, you're going to get in trouble.
That is so many good people. It's hard
to let yourself get in trouble, man. Let yourself get in trouble. Who cares?
All right. Well, that's a way of life for me anyway. So what's the difference? So with that said, okay, our first topic of the night is Canada is likely to drop the vaccine requirement to enter by the end of September. Now, here's where it gets interesting, okay? The NHL will be the biggest beneficiary for it because they've got 7 teams there. And, of course, a lot of the U.S. players on base teams will go there. I don't think it's as much of a factor for the MLB and NBA because you only have the Toronto Blue Jays and the Raptors. But nevertheless, COVID is the reason why I'm bringing this up is we're talking about COVID-19, and it's been a worldwide pandemic. So with that said, Rick Curdy, okay, give me your thoughts about the vaccine requirement being changed by Canada.
Well, I think it's good. I mean, it's like we all want to get back to normal. Whether you agree with the pandemic or you don't, and whatever opinions you have, we want to get back to normal, and I want to get back to normal. So, I mean, I'm vaccinated, but that was my choice, and it's time we just get back to normal. And Biden said, or the president said, that there was no more pandemic. So, I mean. And we haven't heard any. We've contained it, and it's always going to be around. So you got to be careful. But we've contained it, so it's time to get back to normal. So this is a good thing.
Yeah, and of course, as I just mentioned moments ago before I turn it over to Jacob, the NHL stands to benefit the most by it because you have a lot more players playing in Canada, and let alone the fact that there are a lot of players going into Canada from the United States-based teams. With that said, I will turn over to Jacob Kristner. I mean, your thoughts about what I just talked about, that Canada is easing things up a little bit.
Well, of course they are, because right now there's an election coming, and Polivier is giving Trudeau trouble. and it's like for the Conservative Party. So of course he's not gonna go back to this now because he wants to keep power. They're not going to be it's like what Biden said himself. He's not going back. No one's going to go back. They're not going. The schools got mad because they got off of the mask requirements, but even Biden said it's off. It's over. That's one of the biggest things that people had to see by all this. It is completely done. So one of the things that we're going to see out of these now that we've got the politics out of the way, is guess what? You're now going to see anybody in Toronto, if they're fans of Kyrie Irving, there he is. If there's somebody in, if there's like for the next year in a few of the Canadian tennis tournaments, there is, guess what? There's Novak Djokovic. There's some baseball players that can now go. Like there was 7 baseball players around the White Sox that couldn't play in a certain thing. Around those times. This is just back to normal. Before it was more news. Now ESPN doesn't have news on anything like this because basically we're back to normal on that kind of deal. But is this ever going to happen again? The thing is, they're going to have to be careful from there on out because how new this was. People were, but if you had common sense, you knew that masking and all that would stunt growth. Now they're going to know it stunts growth, and they're going to be a little more careful if they do all this. Okay.
Well, before I turn it over to Jay, we got a station break coming up in a moment, and I'll just let everybody know how they can find this show, because obviously this is what it's all about. So in order to find all of our broadcasts, and we have a lot of them, subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel, okay? Or visit www.southfloridatribune.com and follow us on Twitter at Tribune South. To advertise, call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Also, you can also just go to youtube.com, look for South Florida Tribune, and hit the subscribe button. You'll get all the notification of all the shows we have because we have a lot of them. With that said, I will turn it over to JB Ellis, and what the subject is? The floor is yours.
Let's just get it done. Let's start, getting back to normal. We have to. This is the way of the world now. We have no choice. We can do nothing and, have us be separated and, live in distance, but that's not very cohesive. It's not a good way of life. The NHL is a huge winner in this. MLB also, NBA a little bit, but it's just about time. You gotta let guys go, and you gotta be able to travel and get through it and finish this up.
Okay. Next subject. 2022 college football season. We're talking about blue bloods now. What do I mean by that? For the first time in college football, Kansas football, Kentucky football, Duke football, and UNC have started the season at 3-0. Again, we all know what these teams can do on the hard court, but it's so refreshing to see these particular schools doing well in the football field. Well, it seems like a lot of people are located, at least 2 of the 3 in the area. Rick Curdy, give us your opinion here on the fact that you have a couple schools in North Carolina, Tar Heels namely, and Duke, and of course Kentucky. What are your thoughts about these schools now showing some success on the football field?
Well, I'm happy for Kansas. They've been really, really bad for a very long time. UNC, Chapel Hill, it's too early. They do this all the time. They start out strong and then they'll finish like 6-6, or they'll finish on a bad note. Duke is a good story because they were really, really bad for a long time. It's a basketball school, and they had success with their last coach. He left, and now this new guy, he's doing really well. But it's too early to tell right now. 3-0 is a great start, but let's see what happens when they face tougher competition. So I'm going to wait and see with these teams, especially UNC Chapel Hill, because they tease us all the time when they'll be like in the top 10, and then they'll lose to like some school that they should have beat. So jury's still out. But so far it's a good start.
All right, Jacob.
It's kind of a reminder of where life changes. I'll give an example. Back in my hometown, Quincy, Illinois, I mean, if the Devils won one football game, it'd be a miracle. Just, it was awful. My dad even used that as an excuse for me not to play football. That's a long story. He was able to do it to keep me from looking bad because the team was so awful. But now, this kid named Braden Little, I mean, this is years later, obviously, 25 years later, but he's the quarterback on the Devils, 375 yards, 5 touchdowns, the school records. And then they had like 49 points. And it's like, I would have never known that, any of that kind of stuff. If I would have never known any of that stuff, or I was seeing that kind of stuff in our time. That just shows where time changes. Same with the type of players they have in basketball. So, is this a surprise with Kansas? No. Duke? No. In truth, nothing surprises me anymore. Only surprise would be if Lance Leopold would go to Nebraska. I want them to leave Lance Leopold alone, let him finish, because they were, like I said, 2-10 last year. Let him finish a year before you jump on this thing. You can't do that. You got to let him and see what happens, because then they'll turn on him.
You know what? Before I turn over to you, JB, okay, Jacob, you did this to me on the last show. Now I'm getting involved before JB gets involved. Lance Leopold, for a lot of folks ought to know, to me had incredible success at the University of Wisconsin Whitewater, and he won multiple national championships with that, turned Buffalo around. And I truly hope that he stays at the University of Kansas and he's able to build his own. I said, I hope, Jacob, hang on.
No, you're right. I'm glad.
I hope he does.
Lance Leopold. I just don't want fans. I don't want this jump starting thing. Then fans turn on you when it's too early.
Exactly.
Let the thing finish.
Yeah, I agree. So I want Lance Leopold, to me, to be able to build his own program at the University of Kansas. I think that would be an unbelievable thing if he does. This guy here, I knew that it's inevitable that he was getting a job. Now, when you think of the fact that you're in a Power 5 conference, because they are in a Power 5, I don't care whether Texas, Oklahoma, or leaving, still the Big 12 is a Power 5. Lance Leopold, to me, is a coaching giant waiting to happen. He really is. And like anything else, Bill Self and Roy Williams and the rest of that Kansas basketball tradition is unbelievable. But the University of Kansas, Kansas University, whatever, is a better place that football team is winning. And I think Lance Leopold, to me, I hope he gets a statue outside of that football field, because I think he's going to do unbelievable things. And it will also motivate a lot of other coaches down the road from smaller schools to know that you can go to a particular university. And, how many times have we talked about, guys leaving one university, going to a smaller school, like, the Nebraska debacle anyways with Frank Solich and Bo Pelini. But Lance Leopold has an opportunity to do some special things. I think it's great, actually, that Duke is doing pretty well. I know that David Cutcliffe for a while and Steve Spurrier would end up winning there. Kentucky football, why not? I mean, basketball's been able to do well. And UNC, I guess I'm probably a wait and see her there. But the one that I'm rooting for of the four is Kansas more than any of them. I want to see Lance Leopold do real well. The other, well, TBD. All right, go ahead with that. Pick it up, JB.
So there's a couple of things that changed college football's landscape. The NIL deals, you're not talking about, small schools. Duke, Kansas, these are big colleges with a lot of big name boosters where you're going to have a lot of NIL money. So it doesn't surprise me now. They're in big conferences. It doesn't surprise me that these kids could get paid now and they're starting to play better. It's still a wait and see. They're not going to be nearly as good as these other schools that are blue bloods in football, but they'll have opportunities because the money will start flowing in. And that changes the landscape. And also the transfer portal is so different now than it was years ago. You have guys playing a fifth year for their graduate degree. And, going to Duke for a graduate degree or Kansas or North Carolina, these are great schools to get degrees from. So it's not shocking to see this change in, their on-field performance with those things going into effect.
Yeah, you know what?
JB, I'm sorry. I wanted to say this real quick, JB. One of the things you brought up, and that is so completely true, is you're talking about the performance. Remember what I've been bringing up also on our side? Remember what I brought up Iowa State getting $200 million for their own facilities?
Yes.
I mean, and all of these stadiums, everything like that. What I was saying about this, when I make fun of Georgia Tech, when I make fun of Illinois, it's like if you're getting all the TV money from ACC, if you're getting it from especially the B1G, if you're getting all these, you're not especially in Iowa State's been putting $200 million, then you're ready to get bankrupt. It's just true.
It totally changes the money changes the game, and
Yeah.
it's a completely different situation now.
Yeah, but you know what? The one thing I'm glad you did bring up, though, JB, is the transfer portal. That to me is huge. Everybody will talk about the INL. To me, I still need more information before I'm going to go deep into any comments on that. But I'm not going too deep in the fact that transfer portal has made everybody better, because guys that are second, third, fourth in line get an opportunity to go somewhere else and play, where beforehand you were stuck, had to wait a year, and that's a different story. So lots of schools can get healthier a lot faster because of the transfer portal. So, and that to me, I'm glad you did bring that up. Jacob, you want to add anything to that?
Well, just my main thing, my number one thing with all of these right now is the fact that we're going to see, I brought up the example of Iowa State, the $200 million. There's so many schools now that we're starting to see these facilities. The facilities aren't just going to be the stadium anymore, just like a little Hall of Fame or something. These facilities are going to have restaurants and everything. It's just going to be like SunTrust Park in Atlanta.
Right.
With all the restaurants, everything. And this is Ames, Iowa. So think about these for a second. And it's like in the bigger states and everything like that. Everybody now this is not just going to be going from schools or anything like that. You have to do all these now, because where else are you going to be able to get these players, or whatever chance you can get these players away from a Miami or a Florida or a Cal or anything like that with those warm weather states? You have to have the perks.
Well, not only that, if you're going to go in that direction, I'll take it a step further. How about all these new stadiums that are being built around the country where you're trying to develop everything around there? I see a small parallel there where, yeah, I know where you're going. NIL money around these businesses and then floated into the athlete's pocket. That's a good point, Jacob. It really is.
Well, Chicago with the Bears is going to get themselves a new place.
Yeah,
They're
right.
Get that. Yeah, they can have Super Bowls and 12 months a year concerts and everything after that.
Right. Well, but we all know the biggest thing to any major stadium nowadays is a development around the place itself, not just the actual stadium, but what you have there. And again, we could devote an entire topic on this one. We're just trying to basically get an idea of the fact that you guys have made some good comments that we're connecting to them, that there has to be ways between transfer portal and development to entice athletes to go. And as a result, the one thing that we're seeing is more and more parity. Geez, the last show that we did last week, went over an hour because we're talking about upsets about big teams here. We're not going in that direction this week because it's not necessary anyhow, but at least I know it helped lead us to where we're at now. When you talk about 4 schools that are known for being basketball schools, I mean, for many years, the Louisville basketball program carried the football program until Howard Schnellenberger turned it around.
Yeah.
So,
absolutely.
I mean, this is just another example of that. Now, I learned my lesson, today I'm pundit spondit, so I'm going to wait to the very end to mention Robert Sarver, okay? That's why I don't know. Do I like having you first, so I have to make sure I devote enough time on the back end? I don't know. There's advantages to doing it both ways. So I'm going to do something that's easy for Rick Curdy to do, and that's talk baseball. We're going to talk about Aaron Judge, who now reaches the 60 home run mark, third Yankee to do it.
Make sure to talk Charlotte Bats.
What's that?
Make sure to talk Charlotte Bats.
We need MLB Charlotte. That's what we need.
All right, that's okay. Leave it alone for now. We're talking Aaron Judge. I know that you'll get your plenty of time to do that. You got to be more. We love the Charlotte Bats and the brand, but we're talking Judge. And I'll be the judge with you. Say much about the Charlotte Bats later, except for the very end. But that said, Aaron Judge reaches the 68th home run mark, third Yankee to do it. Babe Ruth, Roger Maris. How far can he go, Rick Curdy?
He'll probably get to like 65 home runs, 66, somewhere around there. He'll break the American League record. And, Bonds and all these other steroid idiots need to be off this list, And to me, it's Hank Aaron and Maris, and you could put Judge. Hopefully he's clean. I think he is. Hopefully he is.
At least you said hopefully.
Hopefully, because I don't know anymore, to be quite honest. I got disappointed with Lance Armstrong. I feel like an idiot rooting for that.
I don't care.
for Lance
I don't care
Armstrong.
personally.
That's the sad part, and all that money's guaranteed. So, but yeah, I think he'll get to like 65, 66 home runs. And I don't know. I don't understand why there's a debate about who's the American League MVP. Otani's not going to get it. He's on a last place team. They missed the playoffs. The Yankees are going to the playoffs, and Aaron Judge might win the Triple Crown. I'm more excited about him winning the Triple Crown than passing Roger Maris, to be quite honest with you. So I hope he does win the Triple Crown, and this nonsense of Otani over Judge is stupid, and it's just a bunch of idiots that don't know what they're talking about. Aaron Judge will be the unanimous MVP. He's having a historic year, and Yankees are going to the playoffs, and he'll break the American League record for most home runs with like 65.
Yeah, I like your idea about the Triple Crown. Plus that, he's going to get paid a lot of money. All right, Jacob, go ahead.
Well, I brought up with JB. I don't care about the home runs. That's the Triple Crown I care about. But see, the biggest thing about it is people talk about the offseason with we're going to bring up a little the hypothetical confidential here. They bring up, well, what if you can get the players? What kind of players would you want? They have Otani, they have Judge, the Correa. Get me. I'm sorry. I'm not going to be exceptionally excited about Otani. I would be with Judge because I don't care what people love and they show their TikTok, YouTube highlight way. He's still 267. That's one of his higher levels. Normally he's about 263. I like a 300 hitter. It means he hits all fields. It means he does more than hit home runs. It means he it gets a lot of 3-ball counts. I can't stand strikeouts. And it's like, if there's going to be stars and we're going to get this game back, there's got to be less strikeouts. There's got to start being real hitting again, not just home runs, but all over the field. And the thing is, I am sorry, I don't like the idea of Otani for another big reason. It's because the minute he goes out, that's 2 slots you have to fill. He's a pitcher too.
Right.
And I am not fond of that. So yeah, but I would take Judge all day. I'd be completely excited and acting like a fan for once.
All right, JB, you're in New York. Nobody better talk about it than you.
Listen, I'm a Yankee fan. I got the game on now. He just looks like an intentional walk.
What score?
Much.
What score?
Oh, they're winning 11-2.
Playing better now.
Listen, it's a joke. Who cares? If you're a Yankee fan, all you care about is winning the World Series. The rest of this stuff, it doesn't mean anything. And the home run record's 73. There's a guy named Barry Bonds that has that record. So we'll have the AL record. That means nothing. Who cares? This is irrelevant. This is a waste of time. This is something to hype. If you want to talk about a home run record, let's talk about Pujols going for 700. You know, that's a milestone that in itself is ridiculous. It's longevity. One good year. A Judge hasn't stayed healthy for that many years. At least Pujols has got a career of longevity. It's worth investing your time into. All that matters for the Yankees is that we win the World Series. The rest of this stuff is a joke.
Well, guess what? Pujols has 13 games to get it, so I hope he does reach 700. So,
He will.
all right. So let's go to the most controversial topic of the night. And boy, did we get a good one earlier, right, Jacob? We're going to do it again. All right. Well, we know about Phoenix Suns, Phoenix Mercury owner Robert Sarver to sell the franchises. Reasons, obviously, he says it's an unforgivable climate. Duh, when you made the comments that you did and the way you did it, who would go ahead and think it would be otherwise? But easy for him to say, obviously, about the forgiveness part. But after numerous mistakes, the reality is he's losing sponsors right and left anyhow. So as far as I'm concerned, you made your bed, Sarver. You're going to sleep in it. And, you know, Phoenix, who is there another Steve Ballmer that will buy this franchise? Or who? Because obviously the one, when I talk about Steve Ballmer, at least they ran Donald Sterling out of it. So with that said, Mr. Opinion, okay, give us your take on the Phoenix Suns.
Well, I mean, this is no surprise, especially in this climate today. And you say stupid things like that, he should be out. He reminds me of what's his name, John Schnattner, the founder of Papa John's, who went on that
Shackner. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, who went on that voicemail speakerphone and was saying the N-word, and that was the end of him. And so you don't even see him anymore. And he's the founder, so he's done. And that's what's happened with this owner of the Suns. It was just a matter of time. Chris Paul's coming out saying he needs to go. So when your own teammates or your own team tell you need to go, it's time to go. And the rumors I hear, Jeff Bezos may be getting it, or I think the guy that I don't know his name, the co-founder of Oracle, is interested in being an owner. So we'll see. It's interesting. We'll see what happens if Bezos get it. Maybe he'll fly a rocket ship there. Who knows?
Well,
It was time for him to go. It was inevitable. He wasn't going to survive this. And so it's good. And you see Donald Sterling gone. So it's time for him to go.
Yeah, 1 year, $10 million fine. He'll be a rich racist anyway. So,
Yeah.
I mean, and I say rich racist because that's really what he's going to end up doing. Selling it. I think his minority owner called him out. But the reality is when PayPal decided to go ahead and drop him, the dominoes would drop more and more. So you might as well just get out of it while you can. Let everybody know that you're going to sell it so that it doesn't do any long-term damage to the team. All right, Jacob, we talked about it earlier on the Pundit Spun It. Why don't you pick up from Pundit Spun It and bring it here to the Sports Exchange about what you told our audience over there?
One thing that I cannot stand out of any of these situations, be it Tom Brenneman, be it this, be it all that kind of stuff. Quit saying you're a man of faith. Absolutely quit saying it.
Right.
Because you're making man of faith look bad. It's like, the thing is, whatsoever, the biggest in common deal that we are hearing from a few of these people in the situation. I mean, I'm not going to say Tom Brenneman on that part, but the other people, they're idiots that will say, why can't I say the N-word? Now, let me say this here. There is not a word in an English lexicon that pisses me off more than that word.
Right.
I hate that word with an absolute passion. I don't want to hear anywhere. Period. So when I hear someone like Sarver say that, it's like, why do you even want to say something like that? Something so hateful and disgusting. Why do you want to? Okay, so why did they say that we don't? Why do you even think like that? There's no man of faith part on this. This is where my issue goes into play. The thing is, if you're a man of faith, yeah, you ask your forgiveness and you be able to go, but you don't announce something like that. It makes it worse for people of men of faith, because there are already people that think men of faith are racist anyway. So you're just making it look bad. And why did you even have that thought process? If they say it, why can't I? No.
Right.
No. Disgusting word. Shouldn't be. It's hate. We got to quit the hate. First step is a lot of us, but it's not going to end overnight. But the first step is just one less person just understanding this thing, that this is a hateful word, no matter what the thing is. We got to stop it. Then it can just follow on from there. But when he says something like that, that's what really got me. He said that. Why do they get to say it? No excuse.
Well, I mean, just because you're an owner doesn't mean you're entitled to say whatever you want and not pay the price for it. Or anybody.
I'm just talking personality. I'm
Right.
talking personality. Where does your personality, forget the idea of owner of an NBA team.
Right.
Where does your personality come off with thinking, because they said I should? That word is disgusting to begin with. I can't stand it. And any kind of slur. Oh, I should. It's like, I had a priest friend a long time that said his dad told him, there's so many beautiful words in the English language. Why do you pick those? And that's the thing. There are other words in the English language. Why are you so dirty?
Right. I agree. Yeah, the bottom line is I don't care how much money you have in your pocket, little or a lot. That particular word that we're talking about to me is unexcusable and unacceptable. And I know that I could sit here and tell you that even Daniel Snyder, to me, had to change the Redskins name over to where it is now because he was starting to lose sponsors. But the one thing that drives everything that we're talking about is when you start to get hit in the checkbook, then certainly that forces people to do things a little quicker than they ordinarily would have done. But Jacob, I'm 100% right. There's no excuse for that word in the English language. And I have zero tolerance for anybody that uses it and won't even associate myself with those individuals. And I'm glad that Sarver came to his senses quickly to go ahead and sell the team. I don't care what Draymond Green has, to say. He had nothing to do with it. The bottom line is Adam Silver, they weren't going to push him to 3/4 vote to get rid of it yet. But as it turns out, the pressure mounted for this to subsequently happen. I'm giving you a lot to work with, JBL. Let's take it from there.
Listen, it's just disgusting. Piece of garbage. No reason to use that word ever. You're not a kid. The only time I'll really be forgiving with that, and it's not an excuse, is when you're a young kid, you don't know any better, you matured. This is an older gentleman. There's not an excuse.
Right.
If you're doing it after the age of 17, there's no hope for you. At least when you're young and stupid, you're going to mature and hopefully turn into a responsible person. That doesn't mean it's right either at that age. Don't think I'm, saying go ahead. I'm just saying I can understand that when we were young, we all did stupid things. Right. We had to mature. And the sad thing is, this man's going to make a lot of money off this basketball team. So the penalty is he's going to walk away with a big fat check. So I don't know. The whole situation's disgusting. I have no respect for the man. We need to do better as a society. We need to do better in general. I don't understand how people have, we've gotten to, 2022 and we're still dealing with the same problems of, racism, sexism. You shouldn't see a woman calling a baseball game and saying, "Oh, it's the first woman in this franchise." To be honest with you, who cares? She's the announcer of the game. Yes. That's what it is. Hearing that she's the first kind of demeans her in a way because she worked hard at her craft. So we have so many issues with, overt racism, sexism, and we just have to get past that. We have to get past all these things that hold us back as a society.
Well, I'll close out. You got anything else you want to add before I give you my closing thoughts on this topic, Jacob? Anybody else?
No,
I'm all good.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, then here's what I'll give you 4 words that I can tell you about Mr. Sarver: rich, racist, and good riddance. Fair enough. Rich, racist, good riddance.
I feel like you planned that out.
Yeah.
Of course I do. I plan these one-liners out. I've been doing it for 43 years. What makes you think I'm too old to change now? Remember, I go on a show here and talking about Frank Reynolds, right, Jacob? So I plan
and I do remember what I wanted to get onto this.
Sure.
Is these are the reasons you heard me and you've seen me. JB has seen me. Rick, you've obviously seen me on this. I tell people quit apologizing all the time.
Yeah.
I say these things for a complete reason. And it's because one of two things. Number one, you're either pandering to a bunch of idiots you're afraid of them. Or number two, you're a phony and you just don't want to get in trouble. And it's like, you're a phony. And it's like, and if you are apologizing for saying an N-word, for one thing, it should have been obvious after about 13, like you brought up, JB. It should have been obvious after the age of 12, 13 that this is not right, shouldn't be. So, no, you didn't apologize for that. You apologized for getting caught. That is
exactly.
You got to apologize for getting caught. That's the biggest deal. That's number one. Number two, you are going to be what you are, which means if you one day wake up, change, flip your switch, and that's wrong, why does the world need to know? Why does the world need to know? You'll change by yourself. People will forget and be done with it. That's why I don't like apologies, because they are disingenuous. They're disingenuous. You're trying to save your own ass, and it's your own ego.
Yeah, well, how many times we've seen that over the years? I mean, especially now you have social media. Oops, made a mistake. Got to apologize in public. Blah 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 blah. By the way, Denzel Snipes says, "What's up, fellas? I see JB Ellis made Bond." Okay, so but hey, I do believe priority number one is you go to the chat room, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. Denzel, love you, bro. My friend, intense episode of Pundits Fun. Appreciative of you fellas. You know what, Denzel, we're appreciative of you, and before long, you're going to be a part of a 5-man crew on this show here. So we can.
He'll be in the middle. He'll be Alice.
Well, we'll bring him on here. We're gonna have a little every once in a while. We're gonna bring a 5th person on here, and you know what? In my opinion, I think it'd be pretty good. But Denzel, he's in line. He knows that we've already had our conversations. But, yeah, you're right, JB. I had it all planned. He's a rich racist. God riddance, Mr. Sarver. See ya. And I used to live in Phoenix when a guy by the name of Jerry Colangelo showed a lot of integrity. And he's the reason the Phoenix Suns even have a franchise there. And by the way, for whatever it's worth, Jerry Colangelo was one calling the shots of the Arizona Diamondbacks, won the World Series. So, yes, I do go out there and have some Phoenix ties. Then again, my younger brother said, Scott, you've had a lot of hometowns anyways. Yeah, I guess you followed me in moving trucks. You can say I've been in Detroit. I've been in the Carolinas on 2 occasions. I lived in a town called Bessemer City outside of Gastonia, for God's sakes.
Yeah.
I got smart and went over to Charlotte, and then I lived in Phoenix, and I had a place up in Midland, near the Midland, Michigan area, near Beaverton off of Wixom Lake. And if you want to know where that's at, Jacob, just ask your man Jeremy Ballreich. He'll tell you where that's at because he's in.
I've been around the country. I could probably find it.
I'm sure you probably can. That ain't good enough. You got Phoenix, Arizona, where I had a radio show called Weekly Wheels and Talked Auto Racing. Of course, Tampa here in South Florida. And thankfully, we didn't go over a time allotment for that. It is what it is. So, yeah, there you go. Scott, there you go. Denzel's on a roll. Love this guy here. Scott's been around the world 5 of the 8 planets. Laugh out loud. Master of his craft. You're too kind, Denzel. Okay, get to know me, and hopefully you'll stay that way. With that said, we're going to go to the parting shots here. All right, and you'll lead off, Rick Curdy.
Well, like I said, I think I mentioned this earlier, but to me, Judge is a unanimous MVP. Ohtani, I hate that he pitches and I hate that he hits. Make up your mind. You're going to make him a pitcher, you're going to make him a hitter, because you keep making him do both. He's going to end up screwed up like Fernando, and he just needs, make him whatever you want to do. And Judge is the MVP. What he's doing is historic. And I want him to win the Triple Crown. I'm not excited about the home run record because it's been tainted so many times now because of Bonds and McGuire and Sosa and all that. I want to see someone win the Triple Crown. I hope Judge gets it. I've been very hard on him and saying he's Dave Kingman, but he's proven me wrong, and that's okay to be wrong. But I'm really rooting for him to win this Triple Crown because that's the most exciting thing. And I'm not talking about horse racing. So hopefully he'll win the Triple Crown. And sorry, JB, the Dodgers are going to win the World Series. It's probably going to be a Yankee-Dodger World Series, which I hope. And the Dodgers will take it all because they're the best team in Major League Baseball. So there you go.
Well, speaking of Triple Crown, the last one who did win it was in 2012 when Miguel Cabrera went out there and did it. I actually posted that story on Twitter earlier. With that said,
and in the National League, the last time it was done, it was 1931. Joe Ducky Medwick of the St. Louis Cardinals.
Love your history, Rick. That's why you're on 108 Stitches Baseball Talk, because of comments like that. Okay. With that said, Jacob, give me your parting shot.
Fans, quit putting these rookies and second-year players in bad situations so that you can have your fantasy team or you can have your team have a prettier look. Quit it. To Trey Lance just had a busted ankle. He wasn't ready like you thought. You all wanted them. You wanted him in the NFC title game last year. You wanted him in the playoffs last year. You kept wanting to get rid of Jimmy G. And then Jimmy Garoppolo or Jimmy GQ, one of the two. You wanted to get rid of him. And then all of a sudden has his miserable game in Chicago that breaks his ankle. And then all of a sudden, what do you do? Jimmy G has a great game. You want his autograph. Of course, he's nice enough. He's gracious enough. He should have thrown all your notepads or whatever or your phones in the water because you didn't deserve it. Now you did it to Fields. You wanted Fields last year. You wanted him. And then, guess what? 2-8 with Nagy. We were warned this was wrong with Nagy. And now he has 28 passes in 2 games, 1 to a tight end and one to a wide receiver. It's miserable. And then now you want Pickett. Who's going to get himself hurt too. Quit wanting these rookies for your own selfishness. Let them develop. You're getting on my nerves. You're getting on the world's nerves. You're not going to, if you don't let them develop, then they never will. Shut up.
Well done. JB Ellis?
We're getting to that time of year, guys. Go to sleep, wake up, go to sleep, wake up. We're going to have some hockey soon. They're going to start playing basketball. We're going to have the MLB playoffs, where the Yankees are not winning the World Series, as I've said all year. So I really don't care who wins. I don't think the Dodgers will win. I don't think the Mets will win. I think it's probably going to be the Astros, unfortunately. But we're going to have a whole bunch of great sports going on at the same time. Can we get through the next 3 weeks and get to that point where everything starts and we get to the playoffs? Because I don't care if Aaron Judge wins the Triple Crown. Cabrera just did it. I don't care how many home runs he hits. He's not getting 73. I'm bored with it. The Yankees are in the playoffs. Woohoo, we were up by 6 games and not blowing the lead. The Mets, Braves, they're both going to be in the playoffs because we have the stupid, 85 wild cards. Let's be like the NHL back in the day where everybody makes the playoffs. Because, baseball, that's what we need. And we're going to play one game. We have 162 games to play one game because that makes a lot of sense. But let's throw a guy at second base in the regular season because what the heck? We don't know how to root a sport anymore. That's all I got tonight.
Very good. All right. Well, my parting shot, Buffalo Bills, 20 consecutive wins by double digits. Guess what, folks? They're good. Watch out, Miami Dolphins. Bills 31-10 over the Rams, right? That was pretty impressive. And they beat the Titans 41-7. I still do predict that at some point or another, Malik Willis will unseat Ryan Tannehill. You know what? Right now, the Buffalo Bills look awfully good. And the only thing that I will go ahead and say about the Buffalo Bills are 2 things. One, they have the eye of the tiger. Okay. That's number 1. And to me, they remind me of the bad boys. Watch out, Miami Dolphins. Okay. You may be in for, just because you were able to beat the Baltimore Ravens with an incredible comeback, certainly one of the best games and comebacks you have. And Tua Tagovailoa had a great game and was certainly Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, the rest did real well. This is going to be a tough climb. And the Buffalo Bills are the team, I believe, at the very end, when you add a Von Miller, okay, even though they lost Brian Dable, it looks like Ken Dorsey's doing well. You have a good running attack. This is the team to watch out for. And we're going to find that out along. They have a bitter taste after what happened to the Kansas City Chiefs last year. Why would you not want to be mad? And when you continue to bring in guys that have won Super Bowls, and you have Josh Allen, who fits nicely into that community, Devin Singleton, to me, you know what? I'm not betting against the Buffalo Bills at all. I know Chris Berman of ESPN happens to like them. He's always rode the Jim Kelly train. I'm going to ride him as well. I'll do a station identification, whip it around one more time. Subscribe to the South Florida Tribune on our YouTube channel or visit www.southfloridatribune.com. You can follow us on Twitter at Tribune South. To advertise, call 954-304-4941. The audio portion of the show can be heard on Spreaker, iHeartRadio, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. Also, if you struggle subscribing to the South Florida Tribune YouTube channel via the website, whatever, just go to youtube.com, look for us, South Florida Tribune, hit subscribe, then you're going to go. Then you'll be able to see us, or you can hear the audio portion, whatever the case. We're looking to grow the channel, and I have now building on some unbelievable analysts. I happen to have 3 great ones here tonight, and I'm proud to be associated with Sideline Sports and that incredible classic group of individuals that they have over there. So, it's a relationship that continues to get better and better by the moment, and I'm just proud to be associated with great talent. So, Yogi Berra, we'll always say it's not over till it's over. Well, a lot of games nowadays aren't over till it's over, as evidenced by a lot of the comebacks that you're seeing. So, but it's not over till it's over, and for us, it's just getting started. So we hope that you can join us. All right. With that said, Rick Curdy, why don't you let everybody know how they get hold of you?
You can find me on my website at www.charlottebats.com. We have a petition on there. Please sign it. It's to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte, North Carolina. We're also on Facebook at Charlotte MLB, Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Twitter, Charlotte Bats Baseball. Instagram is Charlotte Bats. And I'm also on LinkedIn under Rick Curdy. If you have any comments or questions, you can email me at cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
All right. Denzel Snipes says right now I got the Bills and the Bucks in the Super Bowl. Yeah, that's not bad. I don't know. I'm not sure yet about Tom.
Yeah, Bills would murder them. Bills would absolutely murder them.
Well, he says he got him in the Super Bowl. He didn't give him a win.
That'd be an ugly Super Bowl. The Bucks are just that offense is just not going to be the same it had been in the past. Brady's just not going to be the same. And who knows if he gets himself hurt? That would just be a bad Super Bowl.
And I think Denzel
I'd rather
Snipes.
see Bills and Rams. I'd rather see that again. I think it'd be better.
Well, right now it looks like Mr. Snipes here is drinking the Astros Kool-Aid. All right. With that said, Jacob, why don't you go ahead and let everybody know how they get a hold of you and all the stuff that we're involved in as well.
Monday nights during the season, it is NBA Megan Price's NBA Carousel to see who I'm going to be representing this year. Tuesday nights for at least one more week, Confidential, and then for the next season for that year. Wednesday nights, doubleheader, Pundits Pundit, and the Stock Exchange, Sports Exchange. And then Thursday nights with TJ Sanson, I got a new podcast called Yin and Yang. And we're also going to be working on a movie together. And Sunday nights is Basket Bros with Jay, or Denzel Snipes, as people know, Dom DeRubis, and Will Vogel.
All right, JB.
JB_ the program on Twitter. Sideline Sports Tuesdays 8:30. Confidential 11 o'clock on Tuesdays. Right here every Wednesday. Make sure you're paying attention to this show on the Sports Exchange. Got both sides of the coin at 9. All you football fans, the J&J Sports Express, 7 p.m. on all your Sideline Sports channels. Involved in the NFL, NBA carousels. Sideline Sports, great show, 7 nights a week. We have a lot of shows with Scott on them. It's been a pleasure to be out here tonight. Bucks in the Super Bowl, yuck.
Well, like I tell you, I enjoy the relationships with Sideline Sports. I got to tell you, I really enjoyed the Pundits Pundit, and I also enjoyed the Basket Bros. The one thing about these crews here is they bring in a guy like me that's been around a while, and I enjoy bringing on the historical perspective of it. So if they're willing to create room for me to talk about yesteryear, then my goodness, what a beautiful thing it is. And I'm very thankful there. Rick, kudos to you. You do a good job helping us on social media. And once again, as I reiterated at the top of the show, you, Candy, and Eric Katz did a good job filling me on the 108 Stitches Baseball Talk. There are times when I have to go on the road and do things, I want to make sure I have capable people that can take over so that I can continue to help grow the platform in and out away from the microphone. So meanwhile, that concludes this edition of the Sports Exchange. On behalf of Rick Curdy, Jacob Christner, wherever he's at, okay, I'm sure he'll go ahead and wake up and give us his old JC pundit style or whatever he wants to do. I don't care. And JB Ellis, my name is Scott Morgan, Rock the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange, and we will see you next Wednesday night. Pundits Pundit first, Sports Exchange following that. Take care and have a great night, everybody. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.